of all the cases you saw and observed, what was the one that confused you the most and still confuses you, that you're just not sure what the heck? Is it the plasma ball? What was it that's something that struck you as particularly strange?
The black triangles.
During the summer of 2012, my team was on standby for weather, and I returned to my barracks on base, and at approximately 0130, I saw an approximately 100-foot equilateral triangle take off from near the NASA hangar on the base.
35 miles an hour. We come over a hill, and all five of us see it. It is a black, from that angle, equilateral triangle, meaning all sides the same, with 3 white, yellowish orbs in each corner.
Now, there was another person, George, who the world did not get to hear from, somebody that was authorized to testify to Congress, went through the entire vetting process with me and other people to make sure that, that what they were saying added up, that they could be a witness and it was legal for them to do it. And that was a man named Daniel, and Daniel was in Ranger School and had a sighting or an encounter of a huge triangular craft, but it happened to be on Eglin Air Force Base. So this is what's really bizarre. It's a type of craft that looks like no sonic boom, hovering without sound. Why this story is important and why I fought for him to be able to testify, it's because it confuses me and it gives me hope, right? If we got these craft, these UFOs that can fly in ways that are just way beyond normal reactionary propulsion systems, what is this thing doing at Eglin Air Force Base and nobody knows about it? We don't see it in the theater of war. So it kind of gives me hope that maybe we've either reverse engineered stuff, or we've kept stuff super secret, or we've got some sort of partnership program. I don't know. You choose.
I think the Eglin Air Force Base angle is interesting because, as you recall, that's where Representative Luna and Gates went to get a briefing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where they were stymied, basically, from, they tried to stop them from talking with the pilots. So I knew it would be of interest. And to be clear, Congress did hear the testimony. We went through numerous, even national security people were there, making sure we could tell the story. He was authorized to testify to Congress. It was for personal issues, a really good one, actually, but it's for personal issue that he couldn't do it. But now, for the first time, the public gets to hear his testimony. And now what we make of it, we'll talk about that on the other side. But here is my pal Daniel, who's got a great encounter, and here you go.
So my name's Daniel Cockerell. In 2006, February to March timeframe, I don't have a definitive date, but I was in the very last stage or phase of Ranger School, and I had a bad jump, and I sustained an L1 compression fracture and some pretty good TBI, traumatic brain injury. But it was mainly the back. And because of that, I was housed in a little medical facility right there in Eglin Air Force Base, and which is down near Destin, Florida, Panama City Beach, Florida, right on the panhandle there. So I woke up one night. I was woken up one night because I heard a large engine powering up and then powering down. It was shaking the building. It's a small building, couple beds in the little medical bay, and then they had a little staff duty CQ specialist there. And I think he was a specialist or sergeant, but he was manning the desk, in case anything happens, has to wake us up. Fire watch, basically.
Yeah.
And I got out of my bed. I was in a framed, kind of keeps your back straight. It's like I felt like a robot. Wasn't supposed to walk. I had these crutches, and I get out of my bed, and I make it to the staff duty desk. The staff duty kid was there. He was watching the movie. He had his headphones on. So he was more or less oblivious to the sound, and after exchanging pleasantries, because I wasn't supposed to be out of bed and I wasn't supposed to be upright, I asked him what this sound was, and he said that it's just the Air Force testing stuff, right? So I bum a cigarette from him. I step outside, and I look to my left, and about, I would say, 400 yards, there was a clearing, and surrounding this clearing is these high mass portable generator lights like they use on construction for in roadways that you see and stuff, and highways and stuff like that. And I saw Humvees, military personnel out there, look like, and some black SUVs. And I see hovering about 15 to 20 feet off the ground, this giant, maybe 300 or so feet in length aircraft. There was no visible cockpit, no visible like traditional fuselage or engine. Like I couldn't see it. It was different to me. So right about the time I get out and I notice this, it hovers. It goes straight up, and when I say hover, I don't mean in a traditional sense. So when you think about any fixed wing aircraft, any bird that we have known to man right now, even a rotary bird, it oscillates when it hovers. This just goes straight up, and it's dead quiet. Nothing, not a sound. I could hear the buzzing from the generator lights, right? So this gets about to the canopy, like height, a little over the canopy, and does a slight bank and takes off, and it rips right over the canopy, like looks like it was heading northeast. And which I'm guessing, I honestly couldn't remember. Just, I don't know. Sometimes, you feel like your cardinal directions, like which way's home. Anyway, this aircraft, when it banks, I can see that it's a perfect triangle, and it's gigantic, and it has a white light at each apex of the triangle and a large white light in the center. And it takes off, and it zips out of sight. I mean, Mach something we don't know. And I mean, it takes off. And the biggest shock to me at that point was there was no audible report. There was nothing, like something going that fast, it's going to bust the sound barrier, you're going to hear it. And I didn't. I heard nothing. And at that point, again, it was just the buzzing of the generator lights out there. I watched this as I'm smoking my cigarette, seemingly do several touch and goes, but it doesn't go down at that little drop zone that it took off. It just comes back, stays there for a second, couple seconds, and then takes off again. Comes back, stays there for a couple seconds, takes off again. And at that point, I grew bored of it, and I was impressed, obviously. But I'm like, okay, this is our military testing some awesome technology. And, again, this isn't my wheelhouse, so I'm not, I'm not really realizing that this is some sort of 0 point energy or something that we've never seen before. So it's nothing like I've ever seen before. I've never seen any military or civilian bird have the capabilities that something like this has. Again, there's no signage, there's no visible cockpit, fuselage. There's nothing that I can see that would make me think it's any kind of traditional bird that we've seen or I've heard about. It takes off and I go back inside and that's it. So the biggest thing to me, and when we were discussing it, is the notable observations, and that there's a zero oscillation, right? The propulsion and noise, there was no audible report, no hum, nothing. What was it? It lacked like an obviously visible cabin, any signage, engine housing, exhaust systems, and it's the sheer speed that was one of the most notable things. So
Yeah. I want to ask you the obvious questions that people are going to ask. I think I'd like to ask them. First off, and we can do them in short order, but just first off, when you say like gigantic, like obviously you were impressed by this. You say you've never seen anything like this. As you say, birds, planes, you've been around them. What was like, how big was this? Why was it in your mind different? Like
from nose to ass, this thing could take up a football field. It was like 300 feet or so, I'm guessing. But yeah, approximately probably like 300 feet, maybe 15 to 20 feet in its thickness from that profile view.
Wow.
And honestly, I can't remember seeing anything else. I was trying and squinting so hard to see the tail. Anything that would register visibly, like a tail or something like that. There was nothing, no fins or, nothing like that.
Right. So this is not a typical aviation, meaning you've got a perfect triangle that is at one point hovering completely silent to the point where you can hear these generators around it. And it shoots off at a speed where you should have heard some sort of signature from it is what I'm understanding from you. So you're looking at a type of aviation that we don't see every day is a good way to say it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let me ask you back. Let's go back about the sound. At first there was something loud enough that it got you out of basically sick bed and to get outside and, got you to physically get up. So what was it that you were hearing initially, or was it just the vibrations of the building, or what were you hearing?
I mean, it could have been the vibration of the rumbling of the building at first, but I mean, it was, when I came to, I could hear it, I could hear that rumble, that, it's powering up and then powering down. Something's powering up and powering down.
Wow. So like electrical,
multiple times.
Like electrical energy going ratcheting up and then back down again. You heard that many times?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So by the time you get outside, there's no like screaming engines or anything. Was it at that point completely silent?
There was no more powering up, powering down when I got outside. I mean, it might have stopped maybe. At that time, I was engaged with the back and forth with the staff duty kid. So,
and he's seeing it too?
Nothing.
Is the staff?
No. So when I asked him, he said, "Oh, that's just the Aurora project. It's the Air Force testing some bird," which I was later told, in Washington circles, that a lot of times they'll give shit names to that might be from another project. So it's kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Right. So you don't go around telling everybody what you saw, but you never signed an NDA or anything like that for seeing this. Yeah.
No, I've always kind of been a little apprehensive about talking about this now that I'm realizing it's a pretty big deal. Because again, you have to understand that for years, to me, I mean, I think I told a couple people, and the guys that I was talking to were the guys that that's their wheelhouse. They're the Top Gun guys. They when they're the guys that when you see an aircraft, they're like, that's an F/A-18 Super Hornet,
Yeah.
And I was, I brought it up to them. And that's actually coincidentally what kind of led me to you. Is through a friend who is known in y'all circles and the DC brass circles, and that's what led me to you. So
Well, yeah, I'm glad that I got to hear your story. I just thought it was important for other people to hear what you saw. You're not claiming you know what it is. I'm not claiming I know what it is, but it definitely, if I saw a football sized, like a stadium sized triangular craft hovering silently, just that alone, even without the takeoff you described, without a sonic boom, I mean, to me, that would be astonishing to me to see something that big hovering silently on a military base, like in the sky. I mean, was it astonishing in any way?
it blew me away, the size, definitely. The first thing I saw, because it's so jet black, is I just saw that they were doing something out there with all the lights. And it took me a second to notice that, holy crap, here it is, But yeah, outside of that, like, I was simply just blown away by how fast it was and not hearing any kind of audible report, any kind of sonic boom or anything.
Right. I wanted to hear a little bit more about that. So when you're talking about, the thing moving, so there was no air displacement, there was no sound like a sonic boom. Was it faster than anything you've ever seen fly before? Was it instantaneous? Did it move slowly? How did it shoot off?
It was instant, and it was far and away just like the most violently fast thing that I've ever seen. So yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's lucky that you got to see that. It's amazing you didn't have to sign any NDAs. I know you've provided your full testimony to Congress, and they thought it of value enough to want you to testify to the American public about seeing it, because whether this is, non-human intelligence, reverse engineered craft, or it's just a technology that is being held back from common day use, I think it's the secrecy that was kind of disturbing to Congress. I also know that the FBI was interested in hearing your full detailed account, and that you did testify to the FBI. So you've done your service and you've testified to everybody, and I'm grateful for that. But now the American public gets to hear and put that in whatever box they want, because to me, it's hopeful, man. To me, that this is obviously a craft that the United States government is in somehow operating or facilitating the operation of. And it's been, always a question, is if our government has reverse engineered anything or has any of this technology under their control. So I'm kind of optimistic from hearing your account, because it sheds a little light on what our government is at least doing with one of these craft. So I don't know, man. Thank you for testifying. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to tell me?
Honestly, I did get invited to go up to Pentagon City there, and I sat at a table with like 13, 14 guys. I brought my buddy up there for backup because I was a little sketched out. I'm not used to this kind of stuff, and I don't chase clout or anything. That's one of the reasons you've never seen me on anything like this before. That's actually one of the main reasons I didn't do that public hearing. And then I'm on here. But so
I got my way, man. I was squeezing you. I was like, people got to hear what you saw.
But and after discussing at length about this, I do feel that it's important that people know about it. I'm not one of those guys that more or less has to have the information right there. I understand like the need for the clandestine stuff. I was in the military. I get it. But at the same time, if it's something as spectacular as this, I mean, that would revolutionize travel. I mean, who knows,
Right.
So and as far as being, approached by anybody else, Arrow has yet. I've been told that they want to talk to me, but I've again been, and we talked about this before. I'm a little apprehensive about doing that and telling my story to certain people or groups, given Arrow's kind of propensity to more or less, belittle the whistleblower's story. You know, I'm not, I don't know. I just take it or leave it. You can believe me or not. You know, to me, again, I'm kind of flabbergasted that I can just see this and it's just so right out there, you know. So, I mean, if it's so clandestine, how could I, you know, again, it's a little bit of a remote area. I get it. And it is a secure area. But, you know, if it is that sensitive of information, then you would think,
They should have told you.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah, no, I really appreciate everything that you guys are doing. I'm a little intimidated, you know. I mean, I'm comfortable with you now, but it's still very intimidating meeting guys like George and them and stuff, people that I've like listened to. Again, this isn't one of my big things, but I've always taken an interest in the unexplained, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of serendipitous that I kind of sort of get to be a part of it now, you know.
Sure.
But
Yeah. Brings me to the last point, which is something you wrote in your congressional testimony. The last thing you wrote, you said the observed phenomenon displayed characteristics inconsistent with conventional aircraft technology known at the time. The size, silence, stability, and speed of the object suggested an advanced aerial platform. And you wrote, this account is provided for further investigation and documentation. And that's what I really liked about your testimony that you did provide to Congress, that written testimony, is you're like, look, we just need to investigate and we need to document this because this is outside of the norm of what we're told exists. You know, no, you shouldn't jump to any conclusions based on what other people think. You saw what you saw. You reported it the way you did to Congress and also speaking with the FBI, whoever else you do, but now you're reporting it to the world. This is what you saw. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's been a long time you and me talking. You didn't want to come forward with this, and I respect that, but it's my job to push you. So.
Yeah. Well, who knows? This might segue into, or might be the catalyst, you know, maybe for something else on this, because I forgot to mention too that when I did go up to that meeting up there, Pentagon City, I talked to a couple other whistleblowers. You know of one. And actually, you know, both of them. And they both talked about the same exact craft. You know, it would be one thing if it was, you know, oh, I saw a flying disc and oh, this guy saw a flying disc, but no, he's literally telling me and like just going down the list and checking off every characteristic of what I had seen, you know. So that's what's really creepy to me. It kind of blows me away that, all right, this isn't just, you know, Farmer Brown, you know, not pushing any, you know, hate or anything to, you know, like the regular John, you know, Joe Schmo, you know, civilian. But, you know, we're having like, you know, Navy pilots and like top brass and stuff like talking about these things. And it's very, very weird to me that we're sitting here doing these like congressional hearings. Because I feel like if this was like the 50s or something, the whole world would stop and we'd be like, okay, what is this? Like,
Right.
He who has the answers, show yourself, come out, tell us what's going on. Or, I mean, just, you know, or tell us, hey, this is something we're working on. Can't tell you about, you know, the information as of yet. It's not stable, whatever reasons that they have. But I think it's just this glaring elephant in the room in everything we do and every step we take, you know. I mean, yeah. I get it. I can see that, you know, John Q. Public's going to say, wow, that's crazy. And then they're going to scroll to the next, you know, whatever it is, you know.
Well, hopefully they're going to scroll to an episode of Weaponize and they'll hear it again. But look, yeah. Man, I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you sharing this because I know you don't really want to go public with stuff. And I appreciate that, though. I do think it's really important. Your account gives me some sense of hope that we have some control over this technology that we've been seeing, obviously not piloted by us, you know, 100 years ago, but today it seems like we have some sort of control. So, you know, go USA. I hope that's the case. So your account gives me that little bit of hope. Anyway, man, thank you so much. I can't wait for the world to hear your testimony, and we'll probably talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to you, George, all of your constituents. You guys are literally spearheading this fight for disclosure. It's very historical. I don't know if you get the accolades. I don't think you guys do, that you deserve. It's really incredible. And please keep doing what you're doing, because guys like you are guys that speak for the rest of us men and women who want answers. And so you doing these things that you're doing and the platforms that you have to do it, it doesn't go unnoticed. It is, like, again, I say, historical.
Time to get up. You have to move on. Come on. Come on, old man. Come on. Get away from me. Where are we? Almost to Vegas. What year? Doesn't matter. Your choice. Get up, stay with them. I'm moving on. Who are they? Throwbacks. We're all throwbacks. Maybe we're the lucky ones.